Hi, welcome to Shelly's greenhouse. It's time to process the onions. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking them out of the trash can and getting the dead stuff off of them because otherwise it's pretty messy in the house. Okay, so I have one bowl here. I picked out the smaller ones because I'm gonna just boil those, which I'll show you, and I'm going to can those. So you'll need to get your canner, fill your water to the proper water line. You need to have water for your jars to make sure they're good and sterile and hot. And then this is the pot of water that I'm going to boil the onions in. So these are the ones I'm going to can today, and then I'll be drying some later. My husband's going to help me chop because this is a lot of chopping. And also you're going to want 10 pounds of pressure on your canner. So while I'm doing the canning stuff, my hubby is slicing and doing the trays for the dehydrator. Okay, so I've chopped my onions. I filled my jars to see how many I would have. And now I'm put them in the boiling water. They're going to boil for 5 minutes. And I'm putting my jars in their pot to get nice and hot and sterile. So you boil them for 5 minutes. And then I'm just ladling them back into a bowl. And then I'm going to ladle them into these hot jars over here. So I'm just getting my rest of my hot jars out. So now what you want to do is get your ladle and fill your jars to a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch head space with that juice that you boiled them in. Then what you want to do is just make sure you get any air bubbles out. Just run your thing along the side there. Okay, so I'm taking my jars and putting them in my pressure canner. And there, she's nice and full. Water's boiling. I'm going to secure the lid and put 10 pounds of pressure on it. So I'm going to let it start its pressure thing. And as soon as this starts rocking steadily, then I'll put the heat exactly to keep it at a steady 10 pounds of pressure. I'll show you what that looks like. So these are the trays my husband did. I bought this nifty Excalibur food dehydrator at a garage sale for 25 bucks. So the trays are in. I'm just going to put that lid on. And then I'm going to bring this over to 125. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to freeze the rest of this onion juice that the onions boiled in and use that for future cooking. I'll just put them in little individual bags and use them in future cooking recipes. Okay. So you want it to do this, and then it'll stop for about 30 seconds, and then you want it to do it again, but I'm going to turn it down just a smidge, because you want it to start, stop, start, stop. So now it's releasing steam and pressure, and then it'll rock again. This is exactly what you want it to be doing. So I'm going to do this for 40 minutes. Okay, so they did their 40 minutes. I took them off the heat and I let it cool down before I removed the lid. And here's my beautiful canned onions. Okay, so in the food dehydrator, these onions took about 7-8 hours to dry, and they're done now. And I'm going to use my food saver, and I put in the small bags. So I'm just going to cut a few bags and seal a few bags and then put the onions in there, and I'll show you. So I sealed the one end, and then I dated, and I put most of the onions on this first tray in here, which will make a nice batch of onion soup, or with chicken or steak, or in a dish of any kind. And now I'm going to seal it. And now it's sealing it with the heat strip there. And that's what I do with my dehydrated onions. I'll be able to use them all winter. Thank you for watching Shelly's Greenhouse.